Although what is given to you in your syllabus is a topic that is industrial regions and complexes of India, but we do not go on to think that there can be anything now called by the name of industrial regions and complexes. This is largely because the evolution of this concept has been in such a manner, in so many directions, and with so much amount of input, say that the concept is now completely defunct now, at least in India. This is largely because of the evolution of the industrial corridors or the corridors that we are trying to evolve in India. This is largely because of this region. But before we happen to come to this penultimate topic, that is our main topic will go on to be ultimately industrial corridors. We are not going to be discussing too much on anything that is going to be our main topic, industrial corridors. But in order to understand industrial corridors, we have to evolve this concept, and of course, this topic goes on to it goes on to become a bit lengthy. We can't help it, but that's the way. You have to know about industrial complex, and you have to know about all the precursors that must have been for industrial corridors. So, all in all, you need to know about what exactly is the meaning of an industrial complex. And these industrial complexes are of how many types of industrial complexes can going to be there, its characteristics, that's going to be one. And then we're going to be talking about industrial regions of India, in how many ways that we can go on to divide the industrial regions of the country, that's one. And then, is it that the industrial complex concept is still valid, or is it that it has declined? Of course, its decline and its place had been taken by special economic zones and of course other aspects as well. And then that gave way to industrial corridors. The limitations of SEZ gave way to industrial corridors. So we have started talking about the evolution of the industrial corridors, its meaning, its characteristics, what are the advantages, what are the limitations or the demerits of it, or why is it that they can go on to fail in India. Which are these type of industrial corridors in India? And then we are going to be picking up a DMIC as a case study. Now that is going to be the overall concept and development of this topic. It will go on to be prudent if we can go on to pick up one that is on the map of India. How is it that the industrial regions of India go on to be behaving and so on. These are the 5 industrial regions. Before we define its meaning, characteristics and other aspects, the first part is going to be Mumbai, Pune. Second is Chennai, Coimbatore. Third is the Hubli Belt. Fourth is Ahmedabad, and it can go on to be co-joined with Mumbai, Pune as well. That means both of them can go on to be part of it together as well. Fifth is going to be Delhi. And then there is going to be the 6th one, that is going to be the Chota Nagpur belt. Well, on the map of India, these are the 6 regions that can be identified. Mumbai, Pune, of course, along with it, Ahmedabad can be co-joined. And this is a hand-drawn map, so you can always go on to doubt about the efficacy of it. But then that's a perceptual picture, and that's only about perceptual picture. The second is the Chennai, Coimbatore region. That's the second one. Third is the Hubli Belt. That's from where industrialization in India actually started. The 5th is going to be that of Delhi region. That's going to be one. And Chota Nagpur, that is going to be 6th one. That is the almost in the central part of it. Now, all of these industrial regions and complexes go on to be having certain type of characteristics. They have evolved, they have survived because of certain set of factors. Now, it's a different matter now that the country doesn't go on to remain in this type of a form. But then the moment we go on to become systematically, rather beginning with the meaning, characteristics, so you will go on to understand the complete meaning of these industrial zones that we're going to be talking about in India. and how is it that they went on to see certain type of a decline in this place and regions, and how is it that they have been substituted by SEZ and then the other type of industrial corridors as well. Beginning with the very first part, that is about what is an industrial complex. An industrial complex is a geographically localized set of specific industries subject to important production, marketing, and other interrelationships, gaining external economies from agglomeration and communicating innovations. Now, understand this part. Geographically localized set, that means within a specified region, and with specific industries which are subject to important production, marketing, and other interrelationship. That means there is some degree of interrelationship that exists between production, marketing, and other components. And it is in this manner that they go on to gain external economies from agglomeration. And because they go on to get agglomerated, it is in this form that they become powerful enough to have an influence or wield an influence that we're going to be calling it external economies. And communicating innovations, because they are going to be in competition with each other, and that's the basic reason that they go on to start innovating as well. They start innovating in management, in technology, in production, and so on and so forth. And where each industry makes significant purchases from the other industry in the complex. That means where each industry can go on to make certain type of a purchase. That means certain type of a leverage from the other one. Now, you can go on to consider industrial complex as a coaching institute complex of your near and dear Rajendra Nagar or Mukherjee Nagar region, or maybe from Chennai or Hyderabad as well. That is all of these institutes that are going to be found, going to be found in Delhi, at least in one region. Why? Because a student goes on to go to one institute, then to another institute, then to the other institute, and in that process, what they're going to do, what they all going to do is that they're all going to gain out of it. Now, because they are in some amount of a competition from each other, they may go on to think about some innovation. Although this will never happen, largely because the moment civil services institutes start innovating, the students will run away, because these students are very, very, very conservative of sorts. So, but then we assume that they are going to be innovating in this case. So you have variety of type of courses. Some of them will go on to excel in a test series, some of them in classroom course, some of them will go on to try to only dictate certain things, some of them will go on to fool the students. And so you are going to be having a bevy of institutes in this place, and all of them go on to make a mark in one way or the other. So we're going to say, and where each industry makes significant purchases from the other industry in the complex. So an industrial complex is a set of industrial specific industries where the linkage that we're going to talk of, that is a production linkage, a marketing linkage, transport linkage, is going to be very implicit, that is going to be very, very implied. That means if there is going to be one industry, that is iron steel industry, then it will going to produce something that will going to be used as a raw material by another industry. For example, automobile can go on to be, automobile will go on to have a raw material orientation towards iron and steel industry. That is a possibility. That means that the production of which goes on to become input to another one, and that is how. So in that sense, automobile industry will also go on to become input to another one, that is to the service industry, all of those people who go on to be talking about advertisements and things like that. These industrial complexes are of two types. That is local industrial complex, wherein a single urban area where all the industries are located to form an industrial complex. That's local. Second is a regional industrial complex. In regional industrial complexes, the constituent industries are scattered throughout the whole of the region. That is going to be much more extensive. That is going to be much more larger. So there are going to be two types of complexes, local and industrial in this case. An example of a regional industrial complex is going to be Chota Nagpur region. That is, we have talked about, that is region number 6 in this case. The Chota Nagpur region, Hubli region, that is region number 3 in this case. And that is going to be in a regional industrial complex, and a local industrial complex is a Kandla Petrochemical Complex, Faridabad Complex, Haldia Petrochemical Complex, etc. All of these, maybe even Jamshedpur's automobile sector is going to be part of the complex. In either of the complexes, there are many industries, each dependent on the other in such a way that they take the help of transport and marketing in a joint manner. That means if there is a road that is going to be constructed, that road is going to be for all of them. If it is that there is a container that is coming, that is a container that is coming for all of them. Consequently, what happens is that if a container lands in that place, it may be taking a raw material, or it may be distributing raw materials to not one industry, not two of them, maybe three of them. That is going to be part of it. So there are going to be three of them that will go on to be a part of it. And that's what we're going to think of. That's how exactly that we're going to see that part. Consequently, the cost of transportation in this case goes on to decrease. So they go on to take the help of transport and marketing in a joint manner, and there is heavy ancillarization, and the output from one becomes input to another. Ancillarization, that means for iron steel industry, nut bolts can go to be ancillary unit. For a car manufacturing unit, and there will be another of them that will go on to make a small automotive component that will go on to become an ancillary unit. So there is a heavy ancillarization. That is why the linkages go on to become very, very strong, and that is the basic reason that the backward and the forward linkages in this case go on to be also very strong, in such a manner that the output from one, the output from one becomes input to another. Now, all of these industrial regions are going to be having certain type of characteristics. For example, one of its characteristic is there is integration of the main industry around which a number of subsidiaries industry develop. For example, in Chota Nagpur region, it is going to be iron and steel industry. In the Hubli region, it is going to be jute industry. In Mumbai region, it is going to be cotton textile. That is going to be a nodal industry around which all subsidiary industry will go to develop. So in Mumbai, which will be the subsidiary industry that goes on to develop? That is going to be, that subsidiary industry will be dyeing industry. That will be apparel industry. Second is, it will have large urban population. Of course, they are the people who are going to be endowed with so much amount of skill. Third is an efficient network of transport and communication, so that so much amount of a communicating innovation can go on to take place here. The fourth is a large market for industrial labor. If there is no labor, of course, it has to be 100% automated, but then the concept of industrial region is going to be a bit of an older concept, industrial region complex, both of them. And then a developed and close relationship of the industries with the main urban centers, because the raw material, labor, market, and other important factors are supplied by the urban center. Then we have large banking facilities as well in this case. And when we are going to be talking about banking facilities, it is about investment, it is about finance, it is about management of the finance. Seventh is agriculture and other primary activities are secondary in importance in the region. And then, of course, there is a high concentration of population in the region, which gradually decreases from the center to the core. Now, of course, the core in this case is going to be the center. In Hubli region, it is going to be Kolkata. In Mumbai, Pune belt, of course, it is going to be Mumbai in that region. In Delhi, Saharanpur region, it is going to be Delhi itself. So that is going to be the core, and then the population keeps on getting itself distributed and keeps on decreasing gradually the moment we go on to go away from the center. The 5 major industrial regions or industrial complexes in India are, maybe we can go to talk about 6 as well, if we can go on to take Mumbai and Pune separately. One of them is that we have talked about, that is first is Mumbai-Pune region. When you combine it, it goes into become Mumbai-Pune, Ahmedabad region. The second is the Hubli Belt, that is the second is Chennai Coimbatore, third Hubli Belt, Delhi, and then the Chota Nagpur region. Now, all of these industrial regions go on to be having certain type of characteristics. Now, these industries, the characteristics of each of these industrial regions can be best analyzed in, and when you can go to analyze it best, that can be analyzed in the form of a table of sorts. Now, by table we going to mean that is you can go on to evolve these industries once you go on to know certain cardinal aspects which are going to be responsible for its growth, and then some of these type of problems. Now, follow me on the board. Now, these are the industrial regions or complexes, that is regional industrial complexes or regions. One of them can go on to be, of course, Hubli. That is going to be the first belt, Hubli Belt. Second is Mumbai, Pune, and Ahmedabad. Third is going to be Chennai, Coimbatore. Fourth is, of course, going to be Delhi, Saharanpur, and fifth is Chota Nagpur region. Now, the best way to remember it and memorize it and simplify the whole of this concept for you is going to be, once you have gone to tabulate it in your own manner, you first going to be talking about distribution. The second part will go on to be important industries in this region. The third is going to be, of course, the factors. That is, these are going to be factors. And with respect to factors, you're going to be talking about raw material, then energy, transportation, labor, port facility, market, and other factors. You can go to pick it up. Now, once you have somehow going to conceptualize yourself, you will be in a much better position to understand it and explain it as well. Now, think of it. We are going to be talking about the Hubli Belt. That's the one belt that we're going to talk of. And with respect to Hubli Belt or with respect to any of these belts, we can go to explain it in such a table manner. Which are the areas where these type of industries are going to be distributed? So it can go on to be areas like Nehati, it is going to be Bajbaj, it is going to be Sibpur, Kagajnagar, it can go on to be Uluberia, maybe many more, as many of them as you can remember. The important industries in this region go on to be jute industry, it is going to be a paper industry, it is going to be iron and steel, of course, one center of it, one automobile center here, and of course, ancillary units. So, what this region is going to be known for in terms of raw materials? In terms of raw materials, it is going to be jute, it is going to be bamboo, it is going to be some type of chemicals as well. The energy resources are going to be from coal. It is going to be coal, and that is from Raniganj. And of course, some amount of it going to be from DVC as well. Transportation is going to be, it is going to be the hub of it. Kolkata is going to be the hub of it. that is going to be part of it, and it is going to be on the highway. Both, that is, it is going to be on highways as well as there are going to be there are going to be many junctions also in this place, which crisscross the region. Labor is going to be cheap labor. Essentially, it is going to be cheap labor. Port facility, that is going to be of Kolkata. Market, that is going to be the region itself, that is the urban regions itself, and through export. Other factors, of course, this was the first region where investment was made. Investment that was made, inertia that you think of. Now, this is how exactly that you can explain it in the simplest of the manner possible. And picking up another of this example, for example, Mumbai, Pune, Ahmedabad region. When you are going to picking up this place, as far as the place is concerned, one of course is going to be Mumbai. Of course, the other is going to be Pune. Then it is going to be Pimpri. Then it is going to be Valuj, Akrudi, Ahmedabad. Now we are going to be talking about any number of names that you can go to remember. Important industry in this is going to be, of course, cotton textile. And if cotton textile is going to be there, then can chemicals be far behind? And if going to be chemicals, can petrochemicals be far behind? And now it is going to be automobile. The raw materials in this case go on to be, of course, it is one of them is going to be cotton producing belt. It is going to be one of them. For chemicals, it is going to be through imports. For, of course, automobile, it is again going to be imports plus the locally available for, that is going to be through transportation. Energy is going to be Western grid. Mostly it is going to be electricity, so it's going to be Western grid. Transportation, of course, all forms of transportation, it goes on to be having the first railway line, that is where it was built, that is one. And of course, it goes on to be having a very good connectivity through two lines. And with the Mumbai-Pune Expressway, that is going to become even better. Labor in this case is going to be skilled. Port facility, of course, is going to be that of Mumbai. One. That's going to be the most important one. Kandla, you can go on to add another one. That is, with respect to port facilities, goes on to being three of them. Market is going to be very wide. Purchasing power, high purchasing power. That's largely because of the income of the people. And of course, other factors in this case has been investment, has been one. Second has been work culture, which has made this industry significant. Now, that is how exactly it can go on to be depicted. And in the same manner as you can go on to pick it up, that is going to be Chennai, Coimbatore, or Delhi, Saharanpur, or Chota Nagpur region. This is in the same manner that you can go to present it. Now, that is how exactly it will go on to signify itself in the form of industrial region. Of course, this is an orientation topic, and this much amount of orientation should be enough for you, because a good number of things are already a part of your text, and it is in this manner that you can actually go on to evolve it. Now, the one part that is going to be significant in this region, that is going to be asked, and that is going to be very contemporary, is the problems that some of these regions, industrial regions, are facing or undergoing through. When we are going to be talking about the problems that these industrial regions happen to be undergoing through, they are going to be different. Of course, for example, if you are going to pick up the Hubli Belt, Hubli Belt is, and Chota Nagpur region, Mumbai region, all of them are going to be facing some problems. And these problems are always going to be there. And of course, these are the problems that has prompted the government to take an alternative, different approach. The problem that the Hubli region goes on to be facing is first, it is going to be all about, this region is going to be all about labor problem. Number one, the machines are very, very obsolete. The third is that there is a good amount of government intervention, just not of a good quality intervention. The fourth is that Kolkata port as a Haldia port, as a significant port, has declined in its status. The fifth is that the farmers do go on to cultivate sometimes rice, sometimes jute, and there is always going to be conflict with respect to the minimum support price and other components. Then the sixth is, in this case, is going to be associated with some components that are going to be connected to how exactly is it that the whole of the industrial region is going to be run. The management of it, management is going to be pathetic in this place to such an extent. You can imagine that Kandla port at one point of a time used to be one of these most important ports, but it has declined drastically in terms of handling of the traffic. Mumbai region is, that is the problems in this case is, of course, is going to be, one of them is raw material. Second is labor problem is going to be, it keeps on erupting off and on. But the most important problem in this case has been the high land prices, high living standards that has allowed the labor to become very, very expensive in the region. The third factor is the congestion of the ports in this place. Of course, despite having three ports, they are going to be congested because all the industry that died down from the regions like that of Kolkata, they were established in this place only, and that is where they came up. Then the sixth factor has been associated with the changing nature and the preferences of the people in that region, and a very high level of a concentration of a population that allows the labor productivity to be decreased, as well as the labor cost to become very, very high also. Now that is how exactly that one has to pick up the problems as well. So industrial regions as a complex, as a concept, has not been too effective right now. And when we say it has not been too effective, largely because there has been discernible decline in the nature of the industrial complex. We repeat, discernible decline that has taken place in this case. And why is it so? That's largely because these are the type of industrial complexes which now going to be completely dependent on the road, irrespective of the state, irrespective of anything else. The linkages that we're going to be talking about, a good number of linkages happen to be banking on transport, communication, communicability, internet, marketing facility, and of course, we have been able to innovate to such an extent that for the purpose of iron and steel industry in the southern part of the country, we are importing coal from Australia. Now, that is what goes on to make it very, very effective. And of course, for automobile industry, then the set of problems, work culture now goes on to become very, very distinct. And these are some of those things that has allowed the industry to become somewhat footloose as well. And since the emphasis has been mostly on the services sector, then it is that most of the industries are not exactly tied to their inertia factor. As the concept of industrial complexes and regions started experiencing certain type of decline, we went ahead with the concept of SEZ. In the year 2005, SEZ Act was enacted by the Indian government in the hope that the provisions of this act would boost the manufacturing sector in India, as China benefited from its SEZ policy. But India's special economic zones lacked multimodal port connectivity to ports, unlike the Chinese SEZ units, which had good connectivity to seaports, and thus SEZs in India failed to augment manufacturing activity. It was this realization that gave birth to the concept of industrial corridors and national manufacturing policy and cluster approach. In 2011, National Manufacturing and Investment Zone (NMIZ) was proposed to be set up, wherein the cluster approach would ensure the presence of all ancillary and auxiliary firms catering to a particular sector at one location. For example, to set up a car manufacturing unit, the presence of raw material suppliers such as upholstery, steel, rubber, tires, paint, etc. at one location would ensure a robust supply chain and enable the car manufacturer to practice just-in-time inventory management system, and that would further bring down the cost. So the cluster approach was the one that has been a substitution over the industrial complex and industrial region approach. In addition to the cluster approach, labor laws were amended to give a greater social security to workers employed at manufacturing firms and the NMIZ. For example, if a firm turned sick and decided to close down, then it will have to pay all dues to its workmen along with their workers' insurance claim before it can go to get permission from the government to close down. Of course, from another angle, it goes on to be not so good, but then these were some of these provisions. The minimum prescribed area for NMIZ has been set up at 5,000 acres, almost 50 square kilometers. Wherein 30% of the area will be used for processing. The huge size of NMIZ would provide ample space for ancillary and auxiliary farms to set up shops and act in synergy with the downstream farms. Downstream farms, that means with all those type of farms which were having a forward linkage of sorts. Upstream is from where this receives its raw material. Downstream is to which it goes on to give its finished products. With the downstream farms, thereby cutting logistics costs due to proximity. This gave way to industrial corridor concept. An industrial corridor is basically a corridor comprising of multimodal transport services that will pass through the states as main artery. Freight cargo from the industrial and NMIZ will located at a distance of 100 to 150 kilometers on both the sides of the main artery will be brought to the industrial corridor via rail and road feeder links that will going to provide the last mile connectivity. This will lower the costs of logistics and enable firms to focus on their areas of core competence. The genesis of the concept of industrial corridor goes back to China as preparation for the 2008 Beijing Olympics, which triggered a diversion of India's iron ore exports from Japan to China. Now, in order to feed the increased infrastructure requirements for the then upcoming games, Japan, which was importing large quantities of iron ore from India, was negatively affected as it has to maintain a reliable source of iron ore imports to feed its long-established industrial sector. Efforts to procure ore from alternate sources in India were logistically difficult and not going to be very cost-effective. This inspired the then Japanese ambassador to India to raise the idea of building an efficient freight corridor along the lines of the Tokyo-Osaka corridor. That was a Hubli Belt. And that is how industrial corridor concept came into being. An industrial corridor is I'm talking about its characteristics of it in general. An industrial corridor is a single network system within a specified geographical limit. It is essentially constructed for logistics and supply chain management. Now, it's going to be different from that of economic corridor. For example, a freight corridor can be considered to be an industrial corridor. That is because it goes on to supply, it goes on to have a major emphasis on the supply chain management and the logistics. And you will imagine that this is the basic reason that we have started constructing our freight corridors as well. On the other hand, an economic corridor is an integrated network of infrastructure to stimulate the economic development in a specified geographical area. It is about whole of economic development. So that goes on to include development of roads, railways, gas pipelines, ports, simultaneously working together. While industrial corridor works on quantitative analysis, industrial corridor works on qualitative functions. That is almost like that of the growth development concept of sorts. Economic corridors going to promote cross-cultural trade and developments too, while industrial corridor is a package of infrastructure spending allocated to a specified geographical area with the intent to stimulate industrial development. Now, that goes on to be slight difference with economic corridor. In this case, an industrial corridor, coming to industrial corridor, An industrial corridor aims to create an area with a cluster of manufacturing or other industry. Such corridors are often created in areas that have a pre-existing infrastructure such as ports, highways and railroads. These modalities are arranged in such a manner that an arterial modality, artery means that is like veins, veins are artery and these arteries are going to be roads, these are going to be transport lines, transport lines. So these modalities are arranged in such a manner that the arterial that is the arterial modality such as highway or railroad receives feeder roads. That means you have one highway and that is going to be fed by a lot of different type of roads in this case. They are going to be called by the name of feeder roads or railways. Concerns when creating corridors include correctly assessing demand and viability, transport options for goods and workers, and land values, etc., etc., etc. The government is now planning to develop 5 industrial corridors in the country. And they're going to include Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor covering the states of Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra. And out of some 24 investment nodes identified for development, 8 industrial cities are going to be different. Of course, that go on to be something like Dadri, Noida, Ghaziabad, that's one. Manesar Bawal, Kurukshetra Bhiwadi, that is in Rajasthan, Pitampura and Dhar Mau in Madhya Pradesh. Then the Chandra Bikini investment area in Maharashtra along with Dighi port in the same region. So that is going to be one part of it. Then Chennai Bangalore Industrial Corridor, which covers the state of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka and the nodes being Ponneri, Krishnapatnam, that is going to be part of it, and Tumkaru. Bengaluru Mumbai Economic Corridor covers the state of Maharashtra and Karnataka. Dharwad has been identified by the government for further such type of development. And the Maharashtra has given a principal approval for the development of the Sangli-Sholapur region. Then Amritsar Kolkata industrial region will go to pass through all of the belt of the plains. That will go to cover the state of Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, West Bengal, up till, and that is going to be one of them. And of course, towards Gohna in Haryana and toward Uttarakhand and Bhaupur as well. The East Coast Industrial Corridor goes on to cover the states of West Bengal, Orissa, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. That is all going to be along the eastern zone. That is goes on to be Vizag to Chennai is going to be one of these phases, whereas Vishakhapatnam, Machilipatnam and Donakonda is going to be a part of the second phase of sorts in this case. So there are going to be some 5-6 industrial corridors. This is going to be all about in Delhi Industrial Corridor. As you will going to find it, which are the more important cities located along the corridor. So it goes on to be Noida, Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh, Faridabad, etc. in Haryana. In Rajasthan as well, that goes on to be Jaipur and Kurukshetra, Bhiwadi, Nimrana, Gujarat. Till the more important in this case is going to be that is Ahmedabad, Bharuch, Ankleshwar region. Plus, what we have also talked about, what are the cities that are going to be known for a long-term growth. Now, in this case, it is going to be Muzaffarnagar. That's going to be Rewari in Hisar here, and in Gujarat it goes on to be, in Rajasthan it goes on to be Dausa, Ajmer, and in Gujarat, Navsari, Valsad, and so on. Now the purpose of a Delhi Industrial Corridor is essentially to create a strong economic base in India which can go on to sustain a globally competitive environment. That means it is going to be in a much better shape to provide to the whole of the world certain type of goods and services which otherwise it wouldn't have been able to provide. And of course to enhance the local commerce and foreign investments. The goals in this case are mainly concerned with the economic development of the region. We are going to be talking about that part. And when we are going to be talking about that is economic development of the region and to improve the employment potential, it is always significant, it is always going to be imperative that we go on to increase the output many times and that our exports must go on to increase. That's the basic purpose of Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. You see the same thing on the map here as well. There is a beginning from Meerut, Pitampura, Delhi, Dadri, Faridabad, Palwal, Nimrana, all along this belt. This is a NH8. This is going to be NH8, and NH8 is going to be one of the futures. As you can go to find it, it's going to go all the way to Ahmedabad and then to Vadodara, to Dahej as well in this case. And you come to these centers like Dahej, Surat, Navsari, ultimately following Nasik and Sinnar as well. Sinnar is also going to be a part of it. In this case, Ambergaon to Igatpuri to Mumbai. That is what exactly it goes into be completely comprising of. This is Delhi Industrial Corridor. Now this is going to be Amritsar Kolkata Industrial Corridor, and it goes on to begin all the way from Punjab. Of course, it goes on to go all the way to West Bengal as well, comprising of some of these states like Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh. Then it goes into Bihar, Jharkhand, and then West Bengal in that order, of course. And these are the cities that have been picked up for the short-term growth. Long-term is going to be Asansol and Hazaribagh, as you can go to see it from the table. The purpose in this case is, that is, of course, it's not going to be the same purpose as DMIC. The industrial corridor expected to boost the manufacturing and agriculture sector apart from creating major infrastructure in these areas. That means agriculture is going to be significant, and obviously it has to be so because it is lying in the main agriculture belt of Bihar, in the main agriculture belt of West Bengal as well. So the purpose is to boost the manufacturing and agriculture sector. Agriculture manufacturing link has to be strengthened in this case. And these are all the regions that are going to be by and large poor in terms of infrastructure. So infrastructure goes on to be taking a major chunk of it. That is Kolkata Amritsar Industrial Corridor. Of course, that it goes on to begin all the way from, not from Jammu Kashmir or Himachal, that is going to from Punjab, Amritsar, and comprising of the centers like Amritsar, Jalandhar, Delhi. Come down, you'll go on to find a big gap that goes on to take place here. That is going to be in Uttar Pradesh. That's a slight amount of a gap that exists in this place. But it goes into pick up once again in Patna and Bihar region, Hazaribagh, then before it goes on to come to Kolkata. That goes on to form the second industrial corridor. The third of this industrial corridor goes on to be comprising Bangalore, Mumbai industrial corridor. And that goes on to be including some of them like Tumkur, Davangere, Dharwad, Belgaum. These are the cities that have been used for Chitradurg and Haveri for a long term. The same is going to be the case in Kolhapur, that is going to be used for a long term in Maharashtra. Now, you can go to understand that Tumkur in this case is going to be developed from the perspective of real estate in this region, while Hubli Dharwad is going to be the second largest conurbation in Karnataka after Bangalore, and this is again another city that goes on to boost of a very good realty prospect. That's the picture of the third industrial zone, that is Bangalore-Mumbai industrial corridor. Of course, we go on to a beginning from Mumbai. You don't have to take a look at this part because that goes on to become a part of the Delhi-Mumbai. Sinnar was a part of it. That's the way that it goes on to beginning with Pune in this case, then Kolhapur. Kolhapur is going to be the prime focus in this region along with Belgaum, Hubli, Dharwad as well. As you can go down, you will go on to find that is there are going to be other cities, and all of these cities will go on to have an impact in propelling the growth of this region up till Haveri, Davangere, Chitradurga, and of course Tumkur, Hosur and Bangalore. That is going to be the third of this industrial corridor. This is the fourth region that we are talking about, that is Bangalore-Chennai corridor. And as you can go to find it, they are going to be comprising of three of these zones, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, comprising of cities for short to medium term growth, Chennai, Sriperampur and Ranipet, with two of these cities, with Thangalang, that is going to be for the purpose of long term growth, and Chittur and Palanamir is going to be for in Andhra Pradesh for that purpose. Now understand it, Sriperampur is going to be it's a automobile hub, and so is going to be Hoskote, that is going to be for for this type of a hub. Now, the real purpose in this case is going to be solved when we go on to bring about real estate development in the whole of the region, and these are the tier 3 cities that will going to propel the development of the real estate, and of course that goes on to become a corridor of development that way as well. The fourth of it, that is a Bangalore-Chennai industrial corridor, that is comprising of Chennai and goes on to go all the way to Bangalore. Now, you will understand, Bangalore is a part of 3 industrial hubs, right? Chennai is also going to be part of 3 of them, all in all. And that is the way, that is the whole of the industrial corridors are going to be crisscrossing from one place to another place. You will understand that it is this industrial corridor, the widening of it had been, and taking a road all the way down to Palanmere had been a region of some amount of a dispute. This is largely because a lot of forests had to be felled in this place, a lot of trees had to be chopped off in this place. Of course, the government will go on to plan replanting some of them as well. And Sri Perumbudur is going to be a major automobile hub all the way, and Hoskote is going to be also. These are the regions that will not going to be so dense all along this zone, and there will be going to be a good amount of and good number of feeder roads that will be emanating out of it. That is Bangalore Chennai industrial corridor. And just go on to be mindful of the fact that Chennai and Bangalore go on to be featuring in how many of these type of industrial corridors. The Vizag-Chennai industrial corridor is the 5th one, and of course that goes on to be running all along the eastern coast, what we're going to be calling as the eastern coast corridor also. And that is the one part that goes into be comprising of one major state. Majority is going to be in Andhra Pradesh itself. And in Andhra Pradesh itself, the centers are going to be important, significant, very, very significant, although it goes on to be extending all the way to Chennai. So Chennai is going to be featuring here also. That is going to be Nellore, Vijayawada and Vizag, with the 2 cities that are going to be picked up for the long-term growth, that is Chittoor, Anantapur, Rajahmundry and Kakinada. Of course, the purpose of it is going to be, it is one of these key SOPs by the central government as part of a special package to Andhra Pradesh in the whole of this reorganized state. Even in Nellore, they are going to be Vijayawada. There's going to be another of this center that will going to become a part of it right now, ever since we have talked about the evolution and development of Amaravati, and that is going to be a significant portion of it. Now, that is the map of it, and you're going to find it's very widely dispersed, beginning from Vizag, Visakhapatnam, Rajahmundry, Kakinada. These are going to be 2 of them. Vijayawada is going to be away from this coast, but then coming all the way to Nellore and further southward, again you come to Chennai and Sri Perumbudur in this place. Now, Chennai has been the industrial hub for at least 3 of them. Needless to say, the whole of this region will go on to be having a propelling economic growth in the coming days. These industrial corridors have many characteristics. It is these characteristics that are going to make them industrial corridors as well. Industrial corridors recognize the interdependence of various sectors of the economy and offer effective integration between industry and infrastructure, leading to overall economic and social development. Industrial corridors constitute world-class infrastructure such as high-speed transportation network, rail and road, both of them included, ports with high-state cargo handling equipment, modern airports, special economic regions, industrial areas, logistics parks, transshipment hubs, knowledge parks focus on feeding industrial needs, complementary as well as complementary infrastructure such as townships, real estate and other urban infrastructure for the purpose of enabling the policy framework. These industrial corridors provide opportunities for private sector investment in the provision for various infrastructure projects associated with the exploitation of industrial opportunities. However, the successful utilization of opportunities that arises from industrial corridors depend on the availability of efficient transportation network as well as other support systems, particularly along the feeder roads and the feeder zones. That is going to be the support system. It is this feeder road to the main transportation system that allows the catchment area of the transportation and these industrial corridors to be extensive. Corridor approach for industrial development primarily takes advantage of the existence of proven, inherent and underutilized economic development potential within the influence zone. And apart from the development of infrastructure, long-term advantages to business and industry along the corridor include benefits arising from smooth access that is to the industrial production units, a decrease in the cost of transportation because of the sharing that goes on to take place and of the communication costs as well, improved delivery mechanism, reduction in inventory cost because the network is going to be so good that you don't have to keep your goods hoarded for a good amount of time. The strategy of the industrial corridor is thus intended to develop a sound industrial base served by world-class competitive infrastructure as a prerequisite for attracting investments into export-oriented industries and manufacturing. When it comes up, of course, we will be in a position to export a lot of things, and that too is smoothly, and that too without having a very high inventory cost. There are many benefits of industrial corridors. That is, these industrial corridors, the benefits of industrial corridors should be reaped by all states and regions, and so that the divide that goes on to exist between the states is going to be, goes on to become constricted. Now, some of these benefits in this case goes on to include the establishment of NMIZ is in scattered manner along the industrial corridor across the length of the state would prevent distress migration and provide people with job opportunities close to their dwelling places. Another advantage of industrial corridors is that it will prevent a concentration of industries in one particular location which exploited the environment beyond its carrying capacity and caused environmental degradation. The second of it is an efficiency, that means as the efficiency of the working conditions, another thing that goes on to improve, as efficiency creeps in India's industrial production structure due to improved transportation system and health, the labor force, the production cost will go on to come down. The lower cost will go on to make Indian goods competitive in the global market and thus open avenues for any type of an export, as has been happening with China. The production of export surplus would generate employment opportunities and raise per capita income. Moreover, people would find job opportunities close to their home and would not hesitate to migrate to far off places, thereby preserving family as an institution. Now, what is happening right now is that we're going to say that people will going to find job opportunities close to their home and will not have to migrate long distances. And what is happening is that the families are becoming nuclear, and that's why a good amount of strife is also going to be increasing here. This will also going to have a potential to increase social integration in the country. Also, that you're going to have one house, and who knows that the joint family for which India was known for, and a family in which the overall cost of living goes on to decrease without any type of an effect on the independence of the interaction of the people, of the members of the family, will not going to take any effect at all. The spread effect of industrial corridors in socio-economic terms are many, such as setting of industrial township, education institutions, roads, railways, airports, hospitals, and they will go on to generate employment and raise standards of living. Therefore, industrial corridors have to be regarded as engines of growth, which will go on to provide logistics infrastructure needed to reap economies of scale. Having talked about all the type of benefits, it's pertinent that we must go on to know what can be the problems and what can be the difficulties and limitations in setting up an industrial corridor. The foremost problem being faced in setting up an industrial corridor is land acquisition. Land acquisition is a major part, as some of you people may have known it. That is a building of the Jewar airport in and around Delhi, in near to this area. That will go on to be a major factor, and it has almost blown away the peace of the entire of the state government. Farmers have also going to become smart enough. They're going to organize themselves. They're going to politicize the issue, and they start bargaining. And even then, you cannot going to rely on the farmers. Since the industrial corridor would cut across the length of the state, acquisition of land has been slow because of legal hurdles and the amount of compensation. Secondly, since India lacks a technological know-how in certain sectors, it will be prudent that to raise FDI caps, and to allow foreign players to bring in the required technological know-how to encourage Indian investment in setting up ancillary and auxiliary industries also in that sector. There can be third problem as well. India's taxation regime is not going to be too friendly. It needs to clearly define the tax liabilities of foreign firms operating in India as a permanent establishment or otherwise. The fourth is the macroeconomic stability is necessary to have a stable exchange rate so that the foreign players with investments in India can avoid currency risks. And lastly, India needs to clearly lay down ground rules for cancellation of licenses in bilateral investment treaties, which could later create confusion. That such type of a confusion has taken place in the case of the Antrix Devas deal also. And this is a type of confusion that must be avoided. And lastly, the economic and financial feasibility of industrial corridors has to be ensured by attracting potential investors to set up manufacturing units at NMIZ. Now, this is going to be one of these type of a suggestion. For that purpose, one has to improve a lot of conditions so that this is going to be done effectively. The bureaucracy has to be trimmed so that they don't going to create hurdles for which they are generally going to be known for. And also the training has to be also pruned up so that they don't going to behave in a manner that they're going to behave, because it at least goes on to concern the whole of the country. Now, having talked about all of them, we're going to take a case study of a Delhi Mumbai industrial corridor. You're going to find it this type of a case study on your screen in the form of an animated version of it. Delhi Mumbai industrial corridor is going to be a global manufacturing destination. One can go on to see the type of an impact it can go to have not only on India but on the whole of the world. It is going to be one of the biggest one with state-of-art road, with state-of-art manufacturing destination for about 1,504 kilometers. And that is going to be linked with the Western Dedicated Freight Corridor. It is in this place that you go on to find the industrial units will going to have zero defect manufacturing also as a part of it, and the whole of the region will go on to bring about a type of urbanization that has not been seen before. Now, that will go on to include 24 investment destinations in the whole of the region, all along this place, that is Dadri, Noida, Maneshwar, and then going to be in Pithampur, all the way to the Dighi port in this region, with linking with Ahmedabad, Dholera. And Dholera has gone to become one of these first regions also to develop this part extensively. The region will go on to be a part of a plug and play urbanization. That means you just go on to move into a place and then you can start from that place with the state-of-art facilities never seen before at all anywhere in the world. This is a ICT enabling real-time governance that will go on to be manned completely from a central place, so much so that it's not only going to be industrial, but will go on to bank on speed, it will go on to bank on access, as well as worldwide connectivity and high access mass transit corridors. This will go on to be based on recycling and reuse of water, energy sufficiency through renewable energy, as well as establishment of many solar plants as had been taking place in Neem Rana in Rajasthan. The region will go on to have a cargo ship effect in this place. It will go on to have a major freight corridor that will go on to be making it so easy for any person to transport their products, export their products, take an import of it without paying too much amount of demurrage and other charges as well. Of course, there are going to be four of them that we have talked of Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, and then Chennai, Vizag, along with Amritsar, Kolkata region. In all of these places, what exactly sought is the type of urban growth that has never ever been witnessed before anywhere in the whole of the country with manufacturing, ecology, everything has been gelled up in a manner that goes on to improve the quality of life of the people with the type of recycling effort and a vegetative growth that is going to be taking place in a natural manner. Most of these buildings will also going to be made that will be energy efficient in this case, and there will be separate tracks for cycling, walking, public transportation, and to make the people happy and enjoy their life in any manner possible.